It's that time of the week again, the Gift of Gaming podcast. Hope you're all ready for a little talk on strategy. It's me, your host, Darren Wade, and today I'm joined by the PC playing, console hating Canadian himself, Chris Robbins. Chris?
Hey, how did I get the console hating part? I own a Switch. I have consoles.
Yeah, but it rhymes really well.
Okay, all right. You know what? For the content,
and you're the PC guy.
For the content, I will accept it.
Cool.
Okay.
And that's you forever. You hate consoles forever. That's you.
Okay.
That's you.
All
If anybody
right.
asks, you still hate consoles. And today, also joining us for the first time on the show, Colm Nolan himself. Colm, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Darren. Thank you for having me.
Of course. You are the strategist, which leads me on to what this week's episode is. We're going to talk about a little thing called the genre corner. Every now and then we'll just talk about a certain genre in video games that we love to play. And this week, we're talking strategy. But before I get into that, fellas, before we get into the nitty-gritty of tactics and strategy and all that real-time bullshit, let's talk about some housekeeping, some things, some up-and-coming things. The listeners will be pleased to know that I don't have to just send us an email anymore. That's right, I finally did it. I set up a Twitter. I've no idea how it works, but you can tweet us at Gift of Gaming Pod, and I think that's what you do. I think people just at me, tweet me, at us. Yeah, just at us at the Gift of Gaming Pod. Or no, sorry, there's no the. It's just, no, there's no the. Yeah. It's just at Gift of Gaming Pod. Yeah, so you can tweet us. You don't have to email us anymore. You can tweet us now. And also, we set up the Patreon page, right? So I know, we were doing the post show last week. We were kind of a little bit like, y'all give us your lunch money, whatever else. But legitimately, this helps us to pay off all this stuff that we've put together for the podcast to help us make better content. So for the cost of a coffee a month, fellas, people can hit us up on our Patreon and they'll get access to our bonus shows and our post shows. They'll get access to an exclusive community on Discord, which I might leave in your hands, Chris, but we'll see.
Is that? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if. Okay, I'm taking responsibility for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
no, that's fine.
I don't know
fine.
how Discord works.
I have Discord open like 90% of the time. I'm at my.
So if you hop onto our Patreon at patreon.com/the gift of gaming, you can chat to Chris on Discord because he'll be there 90% of the time. And also as a
90% of the time when I'm using my personal computer.
Okay, yeah. We have plenty of time for chitter chat. And the last thing is we'll also give a shout out to anybody who becomes a patron on our next show. So if you join Scallywags 1974, wherever your username might be, we'll give you a shout out. We'll let you know. I don't know why I went for Scallywags, but there it is.
I thought that was a real person. I was just like, who is this? This is amazing.
Our first patron, Scallywags. No, that's a lie. So what else have we got on other bits and pieces? Okay, so Games Club. And Colm, you'll definitely be on our Games Club episode talking about Hogwarts Legacy, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You put some serious hours into that so far.
I did. I got sick as the game came out. I had the pre-release, so I had 3 days worth of pre-release gaming. I didn't use it at all, and then I got sick and I was out of action for a week straight. So I just had that entire time putting shifts into playing the game.
Wonderful when things like that line up.
Oh man,
it was good.
When they line up, inverted commas, I'm making those inverted commas thing. But no, that was sweet. So the Games Club thing will be happening sometime in March. We still have to get the cogs in order to see who's coming on, but I know myself and Colm will definitely be there. Kev will probably hop on. He's a Hogwarts fanatic.
I think Craig is pretty interested. He's already been taking down notes.
Okay, sweet. So that'll be the foursome. I'm looking forward to that. So that's up and coming, a thing to look forward to. So if you are also playing Hogwarts Legacy, listeners out there, make sure to catch up. We have some of us have finished it, some of us have not. I myself am, I would say, like maybe 40 to 50% through the game, so not very far. But so we'll kind of do our own review on what we've enjoyed thus far. We'll kind of keep it relatively spoiler free for those still playing it, but we'll get into the nitty gritty of it. And I think that and we're a little bit late this time around, but our March or February news episode will be next week. And to kick us off, Colm and Chris, I'd like to wish you guys a happy Pokemon Day.
Pokemon Day?
February 27th. It's officially Pokemon Day.
Is it Pokemon Day?
Pokemon
US
Day?
Release, Japanese release?
I think Japanese release. So red and blue over in Japan, I would assume. So yeah. So we
red and green in Japan, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we never got that here.
Yeah.
So it's Pokemon Day. So hip hip hooray for all that time we played Pokemon.
All those Snorlax fans out there, I love you. I see you.
I see you, my boy. So we're gonna ruin the secret, ruin the mystery now. February 27th is Pokemon Day, but you'll notice you'll be listening to this at the very earliest on March 1st. That's because I don't do this live. We don't have the time to do this live, and I need a couple of days to edit. So if you're listening to this, I hope you enjoyed your Pokemon Day and you played some Pokemon 2 days ago. Oh, look at that! I know the future. So this week's episode, we kind of said we'd get into talking about strategy games because, you know, we ourselves in our spare time spend a lot of time talking about strategy games, things we like about them, ones we like, ones we maybe don't like. And I kind of thought I'd hit it off with maybe Chris. Do you want to take us away? Question I have to you on strategy games. When I say strategy games, what's the first strategy game that comes to your mind?
Okay, the absolute first would be a tie between the Starcraft and the Warcraft. I mean, I both came from the same company, but in my opinion, were like the forefathers of the RTS genre. So, or at least really popularized them. So that always comes to my mind when I think of strategy games.
I mean, when you say Warcraft, you're not talking about World of Warcraft.
No, of course not.
Okay,
no,
because I'm not
completely
familiar with
different
Warcraft.
genre. Yeah, Warcraft is like your years and years before World of Warcraft came out. It was originally an RTS, Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. They were very good. First one was just orcs and humans. Second one was an improvement on that. And then the third one introduced a lot more in-depth story and other races too. Like you had your night elves and your undead.
So for the nerds of us out there, we could sink our teeth into that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game back in the day. Still holds up well too, but they've really, with the Warcraft specifically, they've really released a remastered version, which kind of fucked things up with the older one because they kind of joined the two servers so they could play together, but they made some quality of life, quote unquote, improvements that actually made the online experience a lot worse. So that's unfortunate. But
and Colin, what about you? I say strategy to you. What's the first game that comes to your head?
I just immediately think of Westwood Studios. So like for me, like growing up, I was like 91 born. So growing up, I would have been in the prime of like Red Alert, Command and Conquer, and Age of Empires. Now, Age of Empires is different, but between Command and Conquer and Age of Empires, 100%.
Yep.
But my first, like, I would like to talk about Age of Empires 2, but my first experience was with the first Age of Empires, and like even like little things before, like I would have been pretty young back then, so I got more kicks out of like just doing the create your own scenario kind of thing and just building maps and just being like, oh, this is a nice little town over here, you know?
Spending a bit of time in peace and quiet here.
Yeah, and there was like little cheats you could get in the game that would be one. I can't remember the exact code you'd input, but you get like a cheetah or something like that would shoot missiles. It was just like, oh man, that was like a fond memory.
This is one thing that we really need to do as an episode is the greatest cheat codes.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Because I think in one of the last episodes someone talked about some amazing cheats.
Up, down, down, left, right, A, B.
Is that the classic?
That the Contra code? Start selecting there too. Oh,
get rid of the police in Grand Theft Auto. That was just, you needed to know that.
Save it, fellas. Save the content. Save the content for the actual episode. So I think Colin might be on the same vein as you, where Command and Conquer would have been the game that I would have been my first introduction to strategy. And what annoyed me about that game was not annoyed me. What I loved about that game, but annoyed my brothers, let's say, is that I would spend the entire time. I just love base building.
Yeah,
I love base building, and I'd set up little walls with pillboxes, and I'd never leave. I never leave to go and attack the other guys, unless they were like they sent their whole army at me and they were destroyed, and then I'd make a move. But I used to just batten down the hatches, make my base look nice.
Mm-hmm.
It was
4 rows of Tesla coils guarding everything.
Exactly.
I was allies, man. No Tesla coils for me. That was a Soviet thing, right?
The Soviets were great. In the later games, you had prism towers, but in the first Red Alert, I think you just had pillboxes.
Yeah,
it was really. I mean, they looked very cool, but they were not very effective.
I think I used to be so into that game in terms of the design of it as well, is that you would build like the barracks or the power plant, and then I would delete them. But I think the dirt area would still stay on the map, possibly, if I remember correctly. So I used to do that to make paths. When I had loads of money, I'd make loads of power plants and delete them, so I have like a little dirt path going through my city, quote unquote. Yeah. So yeah, I think Command and Conquer. Well, I mean, we're here now. Chris, have you ever played Command and Conquer?
Command and Conquer, I played a ton of it actually, and oddly enough, I played it on PlayStation 1, so console.
The things that you hate.
Okay, yes,
You
I
hate
hate
consoles.
consoles. It was very painful for me to do that. No, this is before I even had a personal computer. I mean, me and my buddies were about like somewhere in the 10 to 12-year-old range, and we got Command and Conquer Red Alert Retaliation.
Yes, the one I had. Yeah.
2 copies of it, 2 TVs, 2 PlayStations, and we'd do
Link
the
them.
network
Yeah.
cable connection and play against each other.
Nice.
And looking back, like I had a great time. We'd be in like different rooms where the TVs would be like facing away from each other, so we couldn't like screen look and cheat. And we had a great time doing this. But like looking back, I don't know how I ever played RTS with a game controller. It just doesn't make sense in my head
PlayStation
anymore.
1 as well, so no real
Yeah,
analog.
yeah,
just-
yeah, no
just up,
analog.
down, left,
Yeah.
right. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I did that, but we had fun. It was a great time. Plenty of all-nighters, just like knocking back all sorts of Coca-Cola and candy, and just staying up all night trying to kill
We
each
had
other.
it was the cruelest thing, but I had my god brother would have come up to the house, and he was a good few years younger than us, and I think this is because you'd often trick him into thinking he was playing some multiplayer games with us, and he never really was, you know. But we used to take the PlayStation 1 or 2 controller, and we'd used to, instead of plugging it into the PlayStation, I just put it in the top drawer of the unit and then closed that, and then tell him he was playing. And you could get away with that in certain games, but I even tried it with Command and Conquer, so he couldn't even see his... I was like, no, you're the red team, bud, like, you're doing great. And he'd be like, okay, cool. But then he couldn't see anything that was happening. So he'd just be there pressing loads of buttons. And be like, hey, how am I doing? And I'd just fly the screen up to the top left corner and be like, look at your base, you're doing great. And leave me alone while I play Command and Conquer.
You're
that
an
was-
awful person.
I know, that was pretty bad. That was my worst. I told his mother I did that a couple of years ago, and she was not best pleased. But I was like, we all got along. We spent time together. That was the important thing. But was it Red Alert or Retaliation that had the Ant campaign?
Oh, we never played the campaign. We just went straight to multiplayer.
Is that a
So-
thing where you fought against the ants, giant ants?
Not sure. I remember Tiberium,
Oh.
the kind of factions there, so I don't think any of them were ants.
Oh my
Might
god!
have been
man, is this,
Retaliation.
I remember what you're talking about. Actually, it's ringing some bells. I don't think it was Red Alert Retaliation.
because
though.
you kind of you started off in a base, kind of was like, you know, felt like it was indoors in this kind of industrial thing, and you had a team, just like a team of a couple of infantry, a Tanya, whatever else, and you'd run them around trying to shoot these ants and getting through this kind of pre-made level, which is very not the norm. Command and Conquer. Oh God, I'm hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, there, tweet us because you can do that now
Where?
at Gift of Gaming Pod. There's no the
There it
and
is.
there's no cast.
I'm seeing Command and Conquer Red Alert remastered or
They had ants.
Counter Strike. Command and Conquer Red Alert Counter Strike.
Okay, maybe it was Red Alert. As long as there were ants, as long as I wasn't dreaming, because that was a pretty vivid dream.
Well,
That's the
there was
case.
a ton of Red Alerts. I don't like. It was kind of confusing. Red Alert was like the subgenre, and then there's like a bunch of sub games under that. Like Retaliation was Red Alert Retaliation. And there was Red Alert Counter Strike. Like
I
just
think
don't-
I looked into it there a while ago, and I remember seeing that after a while, EA, I think it was after Yuri's Revenge, that was made by a bought out team. So it wasn't the main Westwood Studios; it was like Westwood Pacific, and then EA had bought out Westwood, and they basically delegated all their staff onto other projects. And basically, Westwood would like then start to fall apart just because of EA's involvement in it.
as
But like
they do.
everything that EA touches turns to poison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all the kind of subset games, like they released. Remember the one? It was like Renegade, which was like a first-person shooter, like
Oh.
Command and Conquer Renegade.
No, I didn't know.
Oh,
they had a
yeah,
first-person
yeah.
shooter.
Oh, it looked terrible. But basically, that was like their
EA's
kind
first.
of involvement,
Mm.
getting them back in there, and it did super bad and looked super terrible.
Good. So
Yeah.
they ruined another genre, another franchise, I should say.
That's really early days as well. So like they got a history, still doing it.
So yeah, Command and Conquer was a good one. Again, I think playing that game, an interesting part to talk about for that would have been the campaign. Like, so they had the interesting cutscenes, which we would never have been introduced to before at all,
Yeah,
which was like those
motion
live
capture kind of
those
stuff,
motion,
wasn't it?
but they were like live actors doing
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah,
in full
And
yeah.
costume.
famous actors as well. Like there's one or two. Like the president of the United States in Red Alert 2 is like a very famous actor. He's in I'd have to Google him and I'll tell you his name after, or I'll do it like in the next little while. But
Yeah.
you also have, do you remember in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective?
Yeah.
He's the guy who is having the party. He has the like shark in his.
Yes.
That famous guy is
He's the
Yuri.
president.
No, he's Yuri.
Oh, he's
So
sorry. Of course,
he's like the psychic evil guy, and he's really hamming it up, and he's fantastic in it.
Yeah.
Like, I think even in the third one, then they brought in Tim Curry, and he's just fantastic. You cannot
Oh
beat
yeah,
Tim
that's
Curry.
right. I remember those cutscenes being pretty campy too.
No, they
Yeah.
were so hammy. Like they were really like. I mean, you've got like movies and you've got theater
Yeah.
and you've got Command and Conquer cutscenes, like
It was like-
for hamming it up.
In the late 90s, like, I mean, graphics was terrible, so it was a great choice for them to put that into it, because I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah,
How
I
are
was
they
in it.
doing
I was
this?
sucked in. It was that kind of first mix of like, and again, I would have said to you on plenty of the podcasts before, Chris, I'm all about the narrative, but like that's how you sell it to me. Get people in a panic room, or a strategy room, a war room, like talking about what you got to do next, because they looked at you, didn't they? They looked at the screen as
Yeah,
if they're
Commander.
talking directly to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like-
That was great. Command and Conquer, what a great game. So one of the ones that you mentioned, Colin, that we actually ventured into recently. Well, I say recently, it was during the pandemic. You and me were playing some online Age of Empires 2.
Oh, of course, yeah, the best one.
Yeah, the best one by a long shot, and it was funny because it's one of those games that's so, because with Command and Conquer, the only thing that you have to get in that is the kind of you got
The ore.
the
or
ore.
You can also take like certain buildings that will maybe generate you money over time, or
Yeah.
even like give you the ability to like get like paratroopers or something small like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Whereas, so that was the only kind of collection of resources in that. But I think Age of Empires 2 was my first experience into a strategy game where you
Multi resources are
Yeah.
required, and you really got to not strategize. Like, obviously, it's a strategy game, and you could just like, if you're playing on easy difficulty, you could just like take your time, build your settlement. People can attack you, and you just be like, "Yeah, come at me. I'll just like
But
fend you off."
You and me played a few games on hard, and we kept restarting it
I
because
think
we,
it was
we never.
medium. I don't think it was hard. I think.
Oh my God.
Like we did discuss this earlier. Me and Darren do like to kind of just like sit back, make sure our settlements are looking nice. We had a nice woodland area, and there was only 2 access points to get in, and we just basically got cornered and trapped and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
we didn't know where
absolutely
to advance at all.
obliterated.
But I think that was for me going into like Age of Empires thing. That's the kind of the real kind of strategy games that I've
Yeah.
definitely gone to love as time has gone on in terms of that whole resource collecting to build the things that you need and that. But that was really, really good. But one of the things I was frustrated by was that Age of Empires, being the game that it is, I could run Age of Empires 2 on my laptop because it's a crappy laptop. But Age of Empires 4 is out or coming out.
Yeah, I think it
It's
is
out.
out.
I think it's out
Yeah,
now,
been
yeah.
out for a bit.
Yeah, there's no way my laptop's playing that game. And I would love to be able to play a new version of that because they look fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're it's kind of surprising how like resource intensive those games can get. So yeah, it's unfortunate. You probably want a bit more of a powerful computer.
What,
Yeah.
and stop playing consoles that you hate so much?
I'm
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm really loud on this on. The guy doesn't
I
mind
mean,
consoles,
yes.
everybody.
All right, fine. Yeah, stop playing you stupid little baby toys. And
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I was looking for, yeah. Okay, so I guess, we've gone on to, you were kind of saying StarCraft or Warcraft.
yeah, well, I barely touched on StarCraft. I
Yeah.
played a ton of that like back when it first came out. My one friend is the only one in our group that had a computer, so we just all go to his place and take turns on the sitting around and playing somebody online or just like against bots. But years later, like sometime in my early 20s, I made friends with a coworker when I used to work at a hotel, and he got me back into StarCraft. Well, StarCraft Brood War specifically, it's the expansion. But since like the servers were kind of dead by then, like they were still up, BattleNet still allowed you to connect and play, but the community was kind of dead. He got me to install like I wouldn't say a private server, but another like public server where all the last like vestiges of players still existed for StarCraft. And it was called IC Cup. And
Nice
it was
name.
it was just someone else hosted all the online space, and you'd have to launch it through a separate launcher, and like it would had all the anti hacks and cheats running in the background, but like that's where all like the people left playing the game still played. And man, I probably never won a single game on that server because they were just all so good by then. And the problem too is like I have fun, but game could go on for 20 minutes, but you've technically
already
lost in like the first 30
Yeah.
seconds because they built this one thing faster than you did.
It's kind of that same frustrations that I had, and then this isn't strategy, and maybe I should be slapped on the wrist for talking about a game that's not strategy on the strategy episode. But like when you're playing battle royales and things like that, and you get that moment where you run around for 20 minutes,
Oh
and nothing
where you're
happens,
going.
and then someone just comes and kills you. It's kind of like, oh, did I just waste 20 minutes? But the kind of same thing with Starcraft. You're just playing with people who are just way better than you.
But there's so much to it as well. So like you'll notice this with like Age of Empires as well. Like there's like inputs to like deploy units to select certain types of units.
Oh,
and
yeah,
if you
and-
don't know all of them and
Yeah.
you play against either a hard AI or some kind of veteran who's been playing the game for 10 plus
Exactly.
years,
Like
you're
they can
just-
select whichever like squadron they want just by hitting like the 2 key, and like
Yeah.
they know exactly where
Yeah.
that is. It's like everything's hotkeyed and
yeah.
crazy. And it got even worse with I wouldn't say worse. It actually got better, but like keeping up with it got way more challenging in StarCraft 2 because like there's all sorts of new like spells, I guess, like special commands for different units, and it was brutally hard.
Like if you can keep that kind of system quite simplified, I think it works well. Like one thing I've always loved about like Command and Conquer, especially Red Alert 2, it's just the Americans, like, or any kind of allied force troops. If you just press like the D button, the deploy button, they'll just like pack up a load of sandbags, and like they're just defense, they're offense, everything just boosts, and it looks really cool.
Wait, which is in which game?
In Red Alert 2, so
Yeah,
when you like select a standard US or allied force unit, and you can either double click them and it'll give you a little icon, you press that and he'll just deploy sandbags and he'll like bunker down. Whereas if you just like select like a mass, like 10, 20 of them, however amount, and just press deploy or D, they'll all do that in unison. And like it's just nice to like, you know, point out a place from your bunker to like maybe a point that you want to defend, send 10 of them there, 10 of them somewhere else, 10 of them there, and then all at unison just deploy them, and you're just like, I don't have any power, but I'm safe. You know?
This is just infantrymen, but I'm happy.
Yeah.
So I think one that we can all, I think when we were chatting about sending each other, you know, messages about what kind of strategy games we'd all be into, I kind of thinking moving away from, I suppose, the Starcraft and the Command and Conquer style of strategy would be moving to something like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Final Fantasy,
which we all
played. Briefly touched on this the last episode I was on, where we were shitting on turn-based a whole lot. But the only way turn-based is still enjoyable to me is in the strategy kind of like game space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the likes of Final Fantasy Tactics, and even to an extent, I guess, like Civ. Probably don't want to like jump right into Civ on this episode, but definitely like Final Fantasy Tactics. I'll even go back and play it often. I think I opened it up a week ago on my phone and kicked off a new save.
Are you playing?
I've done that a couple of times with the emulator, yeah.
Are you guys on the emulator? Are you playing the original Final Fantasy Tactics, or are you playing the kind of the remake?
Advanced.
The War
The
Alliance?
remake, the remake with the two new classes, and the new dungeons and stuff.
Question for you, Chris, because I remember when I started replaying this months and months ago at this stage, I remember asking you, I was going to be like, oh, I'm going to play Final Fantasy Tactics, and you said something to me, and I was like, wait, I don't remember that. But you mentioned like one of the versions, maybe the earlier version, was like card-based. Is that...
Card-based Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't think that was me. I've never heard of that.
I might have mentioned to you, although this is a totally different kind of game, but the Marvel Midnight Suns, which I was very keen on playing, is an XCOM game. But
Fire-Axis and
that, but that has the card,
a card system, yeah.
which has been like kind of because one of the things I did want to talk about on this episode is the style of strategy games that we like.
I mean, it's a broad term. Like, I mean, every game you play kind of has a bit of strategy to it.
But I mean, we're talking about these.
That's why it's such a broad conversation.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
I mean, if you want to help me narrow it down, Chris, we can try. You know,
Yeah.
but I think in terms of when we're talking about those kind of games, like the Red Alert, the Final Fantasy Tactics, I suppose we'll mention Civilization 6, which I'm a massive fan of, Starcraft, Warcraft, all of those kind of ones, XCOM, that kind of style as well. To you guys, what is your kind of favorite style of that real-time strategy?
This is a loaded question. Because of my history, I want to say RTS. But these days, like I said, it's too competitive, and I don't really have the time to get that good anymore.
And are we saying League of Legends is an RTS? If I were
no.
just for me,
League of Legends and stuff like that is kind of, it's classified as a MOBA, which I don't even really know what it stands for, but that's just controlling one unit. And I think when it comes to like these type of strategy games, there's a bit of a macro involved where you have to like control multiple units.
You need a squad.
Yeah. So even like tactics would fall into that because you at least have a few different units that you'd be controlling.
And I guess the lovable thing about tactics, and I think you and me talked about this, Chris, from the episode that was just the two of us, the job system.
The perfected job system. No game has done it as good as Tactics since.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah. Final Fantasy 4 was it 4? It was close. What was the one? No, 5. 5 was close, but Tactics was the best.
And excuse my ignorance, but where in the Final Fantasy history did Tactics fall? Was that like pre-4? Post-4?
No, that was around 7.
7, okay.
Yeah, that was around 7.
Because I remember playing a version on, I think it was my Game Boy Advance, maybe. They might have had the old one. But that game was...
Final Fantasy Tactics Advance was a bit different. Not as good, but still.
Not as good, but stupidly hard.
Yep.
Stupidly hard. I mean, and like that was a game where I'd play on normal, being like, I got this. And be like, this game is impossibly difficult. And to the point where, and this is what I think younger Darren versus older Darren would have... I think I'd love to play that Final Fantasy Tactics Advance now, because I think I can give that extra bit of time to stuff, because I'm in the middle of playing Triangle Strategy right now. Still haven't finished it, Colm, actually, funny enough. I'm still kind of working my way through it, but I'm playing that game through, and that's really, really difficult.
I have a bit of FOMO about that game,
but because you're really missing out, and you are missing out, because it is very, very good. But that's the kind of thing where it is very tough. But I like taking the time to be like, no, it's like chess. It's like the chess game. Yep. It's like every move I have to make is hugely important. So I'm going to take my time here and do this, you know? So you're kind of RTS. You're kind of that style
I would
is
say,
your favorite.
Yeah, I would say RTS. Although these days, if we're lumping Civ in here too, I do like that kind of 4X genre too.
Thank you for reminding me, because it's 4X is what Civ is called as a genre. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Colm? What is your strategy, your go-to? What kind of style of strategy game is it?
Modern day, like what I'd like to play now is more along the lines of the likes of XCOM 2, so it'll be kind of grid-based. It's still turn-based. You can see your movement. You can kind of see these things, maybe based on the terrain that you're on, like the tile that you're on, that might boost or decrease your stats. So it usually would always fall into a squad-based dynamic. So you're going to have multiple kind of units that have different specialities. So like if you're always just playing the same game and you don't have too much difference between units, it'll become stale. But if you've got like a sniper, a grenader, a ranger,
every move has a different, like you're moving these people for certain reasons because of what they're capable of doing.
And you can stack up on like one kind of unit that you want. If you want to just like go and just start like raining grenades onto the enemy, like that's your prerogative. You go right ahead. If you just want an elite pack of snipers, like you can do that too. And I absolutely love that. But along the vein of XCOM 2, like one of the games that I got really into over COVID was Wasteland 2. And now it's more of a tactical RPG, but as soon as battle starts, it goes into that same grid style kind of RPG where you position your units will affect your accuracy. Like there's bleeding status effects and all these like different kind of things that come into play. You can also invest into your character, develop them. So like certain people will be lockpicks, other people, you can invest in shotguns, assault rifles, sniper rifles. Yeah. Like again, really customize your playthrough based on how you upgrade your units. And then in this game as well, you've like same with XCOM 2, you've got permadeath. So, like if you do something wrong, it's like, all right, am I going to reload this save from the beginning or am I going to accept this casualty? And I'm a bit of a wuss when it comes to these games. I hate losing a troop. I'm just like, well, I'm just going to restart this. And if that happens too many times, I stop playing.
Yeah. So I think, funny enough, that's a great segue for the permadeath thing. One of my favorite styles although I haven't played the newest one, but I played Three Houses, and that would have been the Fire Emblem games. And what I love about those is the relationship building in those games, because it helps create a story on the battlefield as well. So like I remember I had this it was in the game with Chrom and Lucina. I can't think of what that one's actually called off the top of my head.
Awakening, maybe?
Awakening, yes. And they had a barbarian guy in that who I loved, and I had gotten my relationship to him up to A. It was like, so it's obviously based on like your grade. So a C relationship, a B, A, and S and stuff. So I gotten him up to an A thing, and he doesn't like me the whole way through. So he was like, "Oh, you're not good enough to lead," blah blah blah. To the point where I got him up to an A grade relationship, and he's like, I was wrong about you, and you're a good dude, and so we go into this like I think it's in the final 3 or 4 battles, and we have to hold off at the bridge, and I have the Lucina or Chrom playing, and he's there, and obviously if Lucina or Chrom die, I think it's an automatic game over for certain characters, and Chrom and this dude are on the bridge holding off the bridge, and I'm playing it to myself being like, oh god, I can't leave Chrom here, like I can't get these guys get past the bridge, they're gonna flank me. but I can't leave Crom here. So in my head, I created this whole story where this barbarian dude was like, I'll hold him off here, Crom, you go, I'll save you, whatever. So he stays back there and holds him off, and he's killing loads of guys, and I run away, but like, no, I hope he survives. But he dies, and I had it on the normal standard difficulty where if they're dead, they're dead. They don't come back. Like, that's it. And what was great was he died towards the end of the game. And it's unfortunate because I think the way the games are designed, the characters in the game don't, generally speaking, react to a death. It's just that character's dead and gone, and no one talks about it. It's just the game isn't designed well enough to go to that level. But playing that game and having him, I had this whole thing in my head being like, I'll never forget. I mean, I say I'll never forget this guy. I can't remember his name now. But back then I was like, I'll never forget this guy. But that relationship building thing, because each character had their own little mini story with your main character. So while you're doing this amazing strategy game, like some of the Fire Emblem games are, you have these stories to go like with it, little mini things that you're building up in your head, which kind of creates a whole new way to play the game. So I think for me, strategy games, it has to be well, not has to be, but I love that relationship building side of it. I mean, like, because you get these guys, and there's another part of strategy where you're pairing them up side by side in battle because they give each other boosts and stats the more they get along and things like that. So yeah, man, I love that shit. Give me some more of that. Actually, I need to go back to Three Houses because I haven't finished that completely.
I did recently
there's so many other
play.
options out there though. Like, you could expand your palette a bit, try some other strategy games
with relationships, building things in them.
Yeah,
hit me with one.
I think not Cyberpunk, Shadowrun. There was relationship building in that, wasn't there?
There probably is. I did play through the three of them kind of recently, but dialogue-wise, it didn't overly interest me. I was just kind of like, this is a fun game. I like the idea of hacking into people and moving forward.
Shadowrun's kind of like an urban one with magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like an urban setting with magic.
It's like D&D world, Cyberpunk.
Oh, man, it's kind of confusing. It's kind of like the Cyberpunk world, but also mixed. Well, you got your orcs and your dragons and stuff like that. So it's kind of it's kind of like futuristic or near future D&D, I suppose.
Okay.
There's like hackers and modders and that kind of stuff, and like very much so, if you're going to do a job, you need to like bring one of these hackers with you.
My main character was always the hacker.
Oh, it's so like you can just get everything, you know, like if you're like, I like to play like strategy games and stuff as well. Like if you've got the choice, if you've got a sniper or like a locksmith or something like that, like, I always want to be that. I want to be skulking around the background, picking people off, stealth killing, maybe like, you know, getting some of these sweet items and shit.
Play the shit out of that.
All about that.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to like setting as well is important in a strategy game, and I think I know we could, and I think we did say we would probably do a whole episode on 4X games, but the idea of that growth, and it's kind of why I love, let's say, Age of Empires, because you're playing at a certain period in history, but that idea of the progression through time in your story of playing it through a strategy game. So like Civilization, you play through, it's, you know, it's the medieval or the Renaissance or it's the ancient era, all that kind of stuff. And I love that stuff, but I have a problem playing those games. It's like with Civ, because my favorite era is always the older stuff. The older stuff. Like I don't like death robots and whatever else. I want people with like slings and rocks, you know, knocking the heads off each other with those. But I really struggle to finish a full Civ game because I love the start of it and like discovering the map. And you know, and again, as you said, like when you're talking about Warcraft or Starcraft, the idea that if you don't do something well enough at the beginning, your whole game could potentially be ruined. And like that, you could place one of your settlements in Civ, thinking, I've got a good spot here. And 12 turns later, you uncover a bit of the map, being like, I should have settled there. Look at this place. Look at the cotton and the diamond I could have had here. So,
and the problem with Civ is that's not a 20-minute game or 20 minutes you just threw away. That's like 4 hours or something.
Oh man, that's more than like it's way more. Me and Kev. Not Kev's been on the podcast. Our friend Kev, who's living in New Zealand currently, we played Civ, but we used to do local games when he was living here. And our local games, we never finished one. And one went on for weeks. And we would sit down for 2-3 hours of an evening and play through it. But like 2 or 3 hours could be 12 turns. The game is 500. Do you know what I mean? Like to finish it. And when you're playing with someone, unfortunately for me, I think I'm a little bit quicker with my decision making. I'm a little bit like snap decision making. Oh my God, it's Kev. Kev, if you're listening, man, you take way too long when you play Civ.
Hi, Kev. Speed it up, Kev. Speed it up.
Yeah. And I guess kind of one of the questions I had for you guys was strategy games, taking in what you kind of as your favorite kind of type of strategy game. And I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but if you could pick any type of story, be it like an anime series or a movie or a franchise that doesn't exist in a strategy game, what would you pull? What would you take into a strategy game?
I'll take this one just because it literally just popped into my head, and I was like, you know what, that would be pretty badass. I'm pretty sure you have, but have you seen the movie Starship Troopers?
Yes.
How goddamn good would a Starship Troopers strategy game be?
In the form of like XCOM or something?
Yeah, like, I mean, like, it could be anything. It could be XCOM. You could even go down the route of like Age of Empires or something like that, like RTS style, like just moving forward, and then you just uncover a bug hive or whatever. But yeah, like, I think you could definitely go down the route of
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, XCOM-esque style, you know, like they'd probably have to invent brand new bugs like that take humanoid shape so that you don't feel like you're always just slaughtering
just
like,
bugs,
you know,
I'm
some species that you're like, they might be the good guys.
Yeah. Am I the bad guy?
Am I a fascist?
You could main Terran in Starcraft and only fight Zerg players, which is kind of like the Marines against the bugs. It's almost the exact same. Yeah.
And what about? I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, Chris, but is there a
super on the spot. You know what? Pokemon RTS. Just send in
are they already kind of strategy?
They have a MOBA. Pokemon. Oh God, what is it?
Unite?
Pokemon Unite. Yeah, it was all right. I played it a lot in Canada because I needed something to do, but.
So
it wasn't great.
What style? Like, you're taking the Pokemon.
I'm talking like RTS. So you got like a bunch of like Snorlaxes blocking the way and like of your base, and then you just like flank your enemies with like a squad of Pikachus and just zap them.
It's Pikachus and rocks.
Pikachus, yeah, exactly.
It's the kind of thing like I loved about playing Command and Conquer, and that when you were setting up your base and things, I used to have, because I'm so OCD about certain things, and like, you know, when you especially in those older games when you hovered and you highlighted a group of tanks and you wanted to move them and they all just move all sorts of mad directions, I used to line them up perfectly to, like, you know, and that would take fucking ages. I'm like, I should really be playing the game here instead of like I'm just lining up tanks or whatever. But that kind of stuff in all games, I think for me, if I were to do, I think I'd love a Command and Conquer style of game. I'm just trying to think, I'd love something like, it's hard to do because Command and Conquer is these kind of armies, but I'd love like an Avengers, like a Marvel in that vein, but there are too many individuals, I think, in that. So you'd have to have like that would fall into like the XCOM thing if you were to do it. I mean, Midnight Suns exists, but
but it's also a card game. Like they had a really cool concept, and I'm not like shitting on card games or whatever, because some of them would be great. Final Fantasy 8, you know, like best card game ever. But in a tactical situation, I don't know if it's like, it's the same as equipping like materia or some kind of like ability, whatever, but it also kind of takes you out of it. Like, it just means that when you're back at your base, before you go out on the mission, you do have to like take more into account, like what your ability is equipped and stuff like that. So, I mean, I guess I don't mind that. Like, if it wasn't a card, if it was just like an
kind of like RPG
slot,
kind of,
exactly.
Style.
Like, I'm fine with that. But when you start talking about cards, I'm just like, that's not my kind of game.
Yeah, because it's the card game is, because Midnight Suns, I'm a massive, as you guys know, massive Marvel fan, massive Avengers fan, a massive Captain America fan, and Midnight Suns, I saw that they have, like, you know, in all the trailers they had a very select, you know, group of Marvel characters, and I was like, they're not picking Captain America, but he's in it and he's got a dope costume, like he looks class because he's in that Midnight Suns rig out, but it's a card game. And I'm not ragging on card games. I'm not doing that. But I think for me, the card game takes me way out of the immersion. Yeah. For whatever reason. I feel like I'm actually just like playing a top down, as opposed to like, I'm not Crom saying goodbye to my barbarian friend anymore. You know, I'm just like, oh, this card will make me do this, and this card will make that guy attack that guy. And I think card versions, like, don't get me wrong, they're hugely successful, but not for me.
Card games are purely for just like, somebody who just wants to play a game. They don't want that immersion, or they don't want the narrative or story.
Yeah, they're just in it for the fights. Any other strategy games of note, guys, that you want to? Well,
we did briefly touch on Shadowrun there, which is nice because you're actually, I think, the only person I know that, besides myself, that has played Shadowrun games.
Well, I only played them based on your recommendation, so
that's
that
right.
is basically
yeah. Okay.
Your sphere of influence is improving. You know?
Yeah, I'll take it. Another one I wanted to touch in a bit was, because I'm a huge fan of roguelikes. Any regular listener to the show would know that. Into the Breach was a fantastic game. And it wasn't as like large scale as some of these other games or as fast paced, but it was a lot more methodical in like every little single action you took had a huge impact, or you fucked it up and you know they destroyed the city. Right?
Big time. And it can happen in one turn, just like that. Like everything just upended, and you had absolutely everything going perfect right beforehand.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, such a good game. Frustratingly hard though. That was another one like with the permadeath. Like I'd quit and restart that one very often.
And are they individual characters? Is that like a bit of a Fire Emblem permadeath? You've got a certain team of
you
individuals.
would have a squad of 3, and basically at the beginning of the game you only have access to one mech group. I think they're called the Rusty Mechs or something like that, and they're just like kind of crap, but like you can clear the game with them. And then what you do is as you clear through the missions, you might unlock like kind of currency that you can use to then buy future squads or like units. The downside to this, and that's one thing I didn't like about the game, is when you go to buy a unit and like get a new tier of like units to use on your next playthrough, they're all blacked out, so you don't know what you're getting. So it's kind of like a lucky dip. But some of them are really good and some of them are really shit, and it's just like, well, I've just used 4 currency points that took me ages to get a squad that I will never fucking use.
It was the early loot boxes, gentlemen. Although it was in-game, so
well,
you actually pay
you
for
weren't
it.
paying for these.
But it was the beginning of the end,
you weren't
you know.
paying for these.
But like when it came, that was just that element of it. When it came down to the actual like gameplay, like it's totally different from a standard, like, you know, like if you're playing Age of Empires or we're talking about Civ, or you're playing for like possibly 6 hours. Is that like a overstatement, understatement?
6 or Civ?
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. Like
Easily,
you could.
okay,
Yeah.
Oh, do you mean like a single game in Civ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, you were not getting it done in 6 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you can. You can.
You can clear
You
this
definitely
game within 20 minutes, but the thing is, every level has like a maximum of 4 or 5 turns. So like right from the get-go, you're on the defensive, and it's like some missions aren't about like trying to defeat the enemy. They're actually about just don't let them totally wipe you out.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do for 5 turns is just not get wrecked.
Protect this building. Don't lose too many like every time they attack a building, like people will die. So it's like don't lose too many casualties.
I don't know if you've played it at all, but essentially it's just Pacific Rim, the real-time strategy game. No, not real-time. It's the what would you call it? Like turn-based
Turn-based
strategy.
strategy, but roguelike.
Yeah.
So every run you do is
it's different.
And you pick up different items and different characters you can find in like time pods that just like randomly appear, and they might have like a fuel reactor that helps you upgrade your unit, or it might have like a mech pilot from a different timeline who's come in to help you.
And graphically, are we top down?
It's
Pixels.
top down,
Yeah,
like
top-down pixel.
like kind of isometric, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, because isometric would be cool. Yeah, because I was only thinking, I watched the trailer for the game, which is kind of like a weird. Wait, this Into the Breach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the intro to the game, which doesn't actually show what it looks like. So I was like, oh, okay.
Did this game come out before or after Pacific Rim? Because there is so many videos. Like
If it
when
is
I was
after
playing
Pacific
it, I
Rim,
was
it is
just
a
thinking
copy.
I'm playing Pacific Rim, and I was like, this is pretty cool, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't actually know. It's a tough call.
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up.
Hey, if anyone knows, you can email us at thegiftedgamepodcast@gmail.com, or if you feel like getting modern with us,
Drop the there and the cast.
and you can tweet us at the Gift of Game. No, yeah, god damn it. No. Okay, reverse. You can tweet us at Gift of Gaming Pod. There we go. Because the Gift of Gaming was taken, the Gift of Gaming Podcast was taken. I mean, you'd swear Twitter had been around for ages, and we're only getting to it now, and all these names are taken. Well, there you go. I hate social media. I'm going to be awful at this. I'm going to be so bad at this.
While we're on the subject of Into the Breach, though, I just want to make a quick nod to the development company, Subset Games. They also made another strategy game. It's a far cry different than everything else we've talked about, but it's called FTL, or Faster Than Light.
Okay.
It is very similar in like the graphic quality isn't the greatest, but it's just like space management, but you're managing a ship. So you have all these units that kind of like control like either the guns or the engine or the weapon system, and it's a roguelike too, where you kind of like choose where you go, like kind of like the old Starcraft game, or Star Fox games, where you just kind of like click on a map which planet you go to. But that one I got super addicted to, and it's brutally hard, but a lot of fun, and very much a strategy game too.
And you're kind of into that though. You're a Bloodborne Souls type of gamer. You like the tricky.
Bloodborne and like the Souls series, Elden Ring, none of them hold a candle to the difficulty of these games though. Even Into the Breach, I would say, is more difficult than Dark Souls. Like any roguelike has the potential to be more difficult than Souls.
But the scale of like Dark Souls would be just like, you know, it could be something really annoying as in the first game you go into Blight Town and you just go through like a poisonous swamp and you just decide that you will never play this game again.
Yeah, they definitely had some fuck you moments in Dark Souls where they tried to make you quit.
I think there was one guy that summed up that, because I was never a Souls player, and I know we're getting a little bit off topic here, but there was one video I saw, and it was the San Francisco Comic-Con years ago, and some guy dressed up as the knight from Dark Souls, I guess, and all he did was walk around the convention, and when he came up to anybody, he would just roll, like dodge roll around them. Never spoke to anybody, never said anything. He just walk up to people and just roll around them afraid, and then get up and walk away. And I was like, yeah, that guy knows it. That guy gets it. Like, you know. One game I didn't actually, it's only just come to me now because I touched on it in a previous show, and it's not a game that I ever got into. Our friend Andy would be big into these. He's always tried to convince me to play any of the Total War games. But I saw there was a Total War Three Kingdoms. And I think I might have mentioned it before that the Three Kingdoms era of China is a part of history that I'm fascinated with. I played all of the Dynasty Warriors games when I was in school, all my projects. But I've been playing into it, and I think for me, from a depth perspective, in terms of the levels of things you have to consider in that game, it's overwhelming for me at the minute because, again, I'm not used to playing games on PCs, laptops. There's so many boxes for me to look at. But that game is, and like, because it looks great. They're characters, like historical characters that I know and love. But the strategy involved in it, like you're going into like lay siege to a city, but like how do I get in and attack people in these streets? You know, with my crossbowmen, my archers, my cavalry, who do I send in first? Who's good against what? That game for me has been a real kind of like breath of fresh air for strategy games because I think I got a lot into those, you know, top-down geometric or just like grid-based XCOM, Fire Emblem, all those kind of things, Some Fancy Tactics. I've been playing those for years. I've never touched a Total War thing where you're marching an army. Again, it's kind of like a very modern version of Command & Conquer, I guess, in the same kind of style. But that game, in terms of its depth, because there's like a skill tree, there's like different leaders that you can hire are specialists in cavalry, they're specialists in crossbow and all that type of stuff, and I need them. I'm looking at a battle to come, you know, and it looks like this place is on a hill, and it's quite, you know, small, and I can tell that these guys are all just like swordsmen or whatever else. Like, well, I'm gonna need a fuck ton of cavalry to get in there, so I got to go off and find the guys that can train the cavalry, and I'm like, this game's amazing, but I'm so slow at it because it's PC. It's like this thing where you can pause or fast forward it depending. I always have it paused. I'm like, no, this is happening way too quick for me. I've lost all my archers, but it's a total fresh perspective on a strategy game, and I have to say those. I don't know if you guys ever played any of the Total War games at all.
No.
I'm familiar with them.
Yeah,
I see the ads for them all the time, but I've never played them.
And it's quite cool because it's that thing where you can play it in two ways. You can zoom your camera out completely, and
you can zoom in like super close, like on the battlefield, right?
And you can see them all, which is class. But like, there's that zooming out and kind of being in control of the battlefield. And then sometimes when like the siege was kind of, I remember the first town that I besieged and then went into the actual town to get rid of the last enemies. I was pretty much guaranteed win at that stage. So I was just zooming down the streets watching my guys, like some of my dudes having a sword fight with other guys and spearmen getting wrecked by my cavalry. I was like, this game is fantastic, but it's just too much for me to watch. It's like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, I don't know where to look next. There's way too much going on. So I've only gotten, I would say, maybe 3-4 hours into that game and a couple of fights, but Total War as a strategy game has opened my eyes up to a totally different style of strategy game, which I thought was like, not dead for me, but I never thought I'd be into it. But I think the fact that it's the Three Kingdoms era, like I know the history surrounding. I'm like, this is cool as shit. I love this game. But I think that's kind of good hustle on strategy games, fellas. I'm trying to think, is there anything here left that I did not?
If I may, while you're like thinking through there, I'd love it. I'd love to just quickly go back to Yuri's Revenge, the expansion of Red Alert 2. Yeah. Just because this is like, for me anyway, like the highlight of the series completely. Like, it is an expansion, so you need Red Alert 2 and then you can play Yuri's Revenge. It's just fantastic. So it's the same as the first or as the second game, Red Alert. You've still got access to the Russians and the Allies, but then you also get access to Yuri's forces. And I didn't talk about this earlier, but this is like, for me anyway, this is like the best thing you could ever do. Like when I was playing games as a youngin', like you could get like every every like country or whatever have like a specialty that they can do, but Yuri's different. Like Yuri's specialty is that you can create a Yuri, but you could also create cloning vats. So you could get like a Yuri Prime, and then the cloning vat would also create another Yuri Prime. And what you could then do with this Yuri is absolutely break the game. You could literally send Yuri, and the other way, like in these games, you can like click on the building and it'll just select the building. If you have Yuri selected, and instead of just clicking the building, if you hold control and click that building, he'll use his mind control on the building, and you can just sell it, select the next building, sell it, the next building, sell it, or select a barracks and just start building troops in the enemy's base.
Your own troops. You
can build, like, because that becomes your building. So you just create that as your primary like barracks, and then when you start creating soldiers, and you've got 2 Yuri Primes, so you've got maybe a barracks and you've got their war factory, so you've got tanks and troops coming out, and like absolutely game breaking, but the most fun game to play because of it.
Because you could do that with engineers, I think, were the closest I ever got to do that, where you would have to weaken a building enough for an engineer to go in there, and then he would take it over and make it your own building in Command and Conquer?
No, if your building was damaged, the engineer would fix it. But if you sent an engineer and he could get into the enemy's building, he would take over it straight away. But what would tend to happen is, especially in the early games, the computers would build like walls around their building to stop that, or they just have dogs patrolling. So it'd be up to you to kind of maybe get close and destroy the wall with some troops, and when there's like a clear path, send in your boy and keep him safe while he's running.
Because that was that like infiltration, that sort of infiltration in the Command and Conquer games was class, because you would literally like be building your troops inside their base, and it was this thing of like, it was this rush to be like, I need to build the tank real quick, or this infantry guys, because I'm getting blasted now myself, because the moment you appear in there, you're immediately a target for everything that's just in that
destroyed,
base. Yeah,
and
that was great fun.
So with that as well, like with that expansion on the ally side, you could get spies, and spies were the same as engineers, except let's say you sent a spy to an enemy's barracks, you got access to every unit that barracks could build with that enemy faction's team. So you
I remember the spies.
If you were an ally and you took a Russian soldier, you could start creating Boruses and shit like that. And if you did the same thing to Yuri's control, you could start, I don't know about Yuri Prime because he was like the main one, but you could do like Sonya, she was like a sniper, the Brutes and all these kind of characters. And like the update, it was just a DLC or an expansion, and it was like XCOM 2 War of the Chosen, just absolutely stepped the game up to another tier of just quality. And again, for me, that's just like the height of the genre. Like I like, there's probably better strategy games out there before and after, but for me, it's just like,
there definitely will be after.
It's
just, speaking of all these games that we have been so fond of over the years, the Starcraft, Warcraft, Wasteland, Command and Conquer, Age of Empires, all the industry big wigs that were involved in making that game are currently, they've created a new company called Frost Giant Studios, and they're only focusing on a single game with one goal in mind. The game's called Stormgate, and they just want to create the greatest RTS ever made.
Stormgate.
They're currently doing that, and I fucking so excited for it, man.
And do you think they'll deliver?
I absolutely think they'll deliver.
I looked into it a little bit just because I didn't know anything about it. I looked into it, and apparently it's like 25% of every other genre of that is going to be in it. So like roughly speaking, like you've played one of those 25% games, so it should satisfy you
to a degree. Because I've watched, they had an announcement trailer that I watched that was quite vague. Again, it was just, I mean, it's a trailer, so it's a CGI thing of obviously setting up the story, but it was quite vague. And I think you had mentioned to me that that this isn't getting enough hype. But I'm quite, I mean, like that, if it's from the makers of your most favorite and greatest strategy games of the past, it's got to be good, right?
And it's hard to showcase like an RTS through a trailer, right? Because it's not going to be focused on like the
campaign.
Well, I would,
exactly.
I'd prefer in a sense like that, for an announcement game like that, I'd prefer a gameplay trailer as opposed to
to
see what I'm getting into. Whereas if I know I'm getting into a narrative based game and I see this CGI trailer that's kind of setting up the story, I'm like, either I do or I don't like this. If you're talking about a strategy, what's going on in this cutscene means absolutely, it's pointless. It means absolutely nothing.
The little dialogue that says not actual game footage should be a big giveaway to you that this is like
this won't be what you're playing at all. Okay, so we got that to look forward to. And I guess to kind of finish up, and again, I'm putting you guys on the spot, but if you had to pick a all-time favorite strategy game, what would it be?
I think I kind of like explained just there with Yuri's Revenge.
Yeah, Yuri's Revenge, because
Yeah.
I felt a lot of passion from you there, Colm. I was like,
so much
I gotta ask this.
passion.
Yeah, I gotta ask this question. What about you, Chris?
Tough. I haven't played it in a long time, but it still has a very special, nostalgic place in my heart, and that's Warcraft 2.
The second
Beyond, specifically with the expansion, Beyond the Dark Portal.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that would have to
I
be
think for me, it's got to be Civ 6, and I'm super pumped because they did come out recently and
They did
Civ
announce
7 is in development.
Oh, very
But
good.
Civ 6 and part of me thinks that, like, because there's so much. I mean, I talked about Total War there and kind of what's involved, and what's involved in Total War is kind of like the strategy in the middle of battle.
Mm-hmm.
But with the likes of Civ 6, for those who haven't played it, there's a number of ways you can win the game. You can get a religious win, a cultural win, a scientific win, a domination win. All these kind of different. There's just so many different ways to play it. But it's so intricate in terms of how you go through each of those. Like, depending on, I'm gonna create the greatest religion that ever existed, and it's going to take over the world, and that's how I win. But you have to make all of these steps, like, and everything has to be. The moment you start a game, you need to say to yourself, okay, based on my starting point, what's my quickest option? And I love that, like that in depth, playing it loads. And Kevin taught me a lot about it because there was a lot of things that I just didn't get. I was just playing through the game and just trying to figure things out, but he was explaining things to me about, oh no, if you build on these hills, it's 2 production, and that'll help you get X, Y, Z. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
there's a whole another level to this game I didn't get.
Big time.
But that has to be mine, I think. Well, fellas, that was strategy. That was strategy games.
Before we totally wrap it up, can I just throw out a couple more little things?
Of course you can.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you for having me again. Letting me talk my smack. So we never talked about it, but something that I'm super excited about, and maybe I'll talk about something I'm super excited about and something I'm super disappointed with.
Oh, yes.
Because, all right, what I'm excited for is the up-and-coming Advance Wars reboot.
We never mentioned Advance Wars, you're right,
didn't, and I'm super excited about it. But it's a mixture of super excitement towards this game, and I can't wait for it to come out. I think it's due at the end of the month.
April 21st, I believe.
Okay,
they announced
so the end
Nintendo
of next
Direct,
month. And it's been pushed back multiple times now. And I know this because right after Christmas, I got a voucher for like the Nintendo store, and I was like, well, that's getting used for Advance Wars. I need a new strategy game. I need something fun to play.
Yeah.
I went straight onto the store, and I was like, it's not here.
It was an interesting choice because I think that was the reason that, and admirable that they did it, but it, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it made a whole lot of sense. But I think they delayed it because of the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, I heard
But you
that.
still have the games like Battlefield and Call of Duty coming out, no problem. And it's kind of like, I think they might have shot themselves in the foot here a little bit because that's kind of like delaying the game. And it's like, it's cartooned. You know what I mean? It's cartoon. There's no violence in it. And, you know, one of my favorite things about that playing it originally was that when your infantry went up against your infantry and they'd shoot at each other, your infantry
them
would just like get
blast
thrown.
away.
They get thrown out of the levels. There was no violence, no blood. It's all like just cartoon hilarity, you know?
It was brilliant.
So what are you disappointed? You're just disappointed that it's been delayed, or something else?
Well, I was disappointed it was delayed because it ultimately made me choose a different strategy game over it, which was Fire Emblem Engage.
Oh.
And I came from playing Three Houses,
Yep.
which I loved. I adored it. I love a lot of the older games like Path of Radiance with Ike, going back to like the Sacred Stone with Erica and Ephraim. Like, I played through a lot of them. They're great. This new game, it's got a cool feature in it with these emblem rings, and you can summon forth like past heroes of different games. But the problem with it is 2 things. One, the story is crap. Like it's awful. Like it's without meaning. The old school kind of like permadeath faction, you can leave that on, you can turn it off. But then, like, you just get so many characters all the time that you should only play it with permadeath off. Like, there's like way too many characters. You will never be able to train them all up.
Yeah.
And there's just so many negative things working towards it in terms of what they came from.
Yeah.
So they came from Tree Houses where the relationship stuff was fucking amazing. Like,
Yeah.
it was absolutely on point. You could you were the teacher, so you were able to train up your
classes
units
with
and
people,
stuff.
yeah, which
you
was
could if
amazing.
you wanted a sword user to train up in the lance, you put him in a lance training class with a good professor who can teach that really well. It was really, really detailed, really good. The relationships were brilliant. You know, you get people up to S. In this game, the relationships are very boring and vague. You can also get relationships with your emblems. So you could have a conversation with Ike, and the conversation is like one line of dialogue. It's like, wow, Ike, you're really strong. He's like, thanks, I train a lot. That's it. Like,
it's so stupid because it's to me it's so clearly a cash grab in that, like, there's been no effort. Like Three Houses, don't get me wrong, you can play that game 3 times, but you're essentially playing the same story and on
Unless,
mostly the same maps.
Without going into any spoilers, but if you select one house, you do have a very different route of gameplay that you get to play through.
Yes.
I did that on my second playthrough, and it was
enjoyable.
quite fun to see that difference. But if you made the mistake of maybe picking
red and blue,
let's just like blue and yellow or whatever like that, and just being like, well, what are the difference between these two houses? There's basically none. Very little.
But they still had the effort. But I remember seeing the announcement trailer on the Nintendo Direct ages ago for Fire Emblem Engage, and by the look of the protagonist alone, I was like, oh, this is a lazy game. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at this guy with his white and red hair, or this girl, because you can choose.
Blue and red, I think it is.
It's blue and red hair. I was like, this. I just looking at the character alone, I was like, this is going to be a lazy game.
He looked like a character right out of Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, because Violet and Scarlet hair.
And moving off strategy, but he will most likely become the next Smash Bros. Character.
He'll be the main character.
There's
for the new
more
Smash
characters,
Bros.
But they'll do it for him.
They'll have a surprise announcement. Like, guess what? One more character,
like,
and it's
everyone
fucking Fire Emblem.
That was the worst. Yeah, that was and disappointing in that, because I enjoyed Three Houses so much, and I think I was talking to Craig about this, and he had said that no, that was about the normal production time from getting one Fire Emblem game to the other. Mm-hmm. I thought Engage came out quite quickly after Three Houses, in my mind.
So it did as well, yeah.
But it too quickly in that, like, the games have so much to offer, because there was they've got a good one, a good one, a dud, which is kind of annoying, because they had Awakening, which was great, and the one after that was the one with Corrin in it, and Corrin's that whole thing where you can play as the good guys, the bad guys, or the neutral party. It was kind of like the precursor to Three Houses, and that was kind of a meh game as well. So there's that aspect of it as well, where the strategy aspect of those games is great, but they're just getting lazy with them.
Yeah, and every so often they keep on changing up the formula, which is like totally fine, I get it, but like traditionally the weapons triangle would be like lances beat swords beat axes beat lances. It might actually be different than that, but like that's usually the tradition. And some of the games have just kind of changed that formula around a little bit, just to kind of change things up, and sometimes they do it well, sometimes they don't. Engage tried to put in some extra features that, like, you boost up your effects by equipping Ike to this character and blah blah blah. But the execution of how it all went down, I think, was done just super poorly. Like in comparison to how great I thought Three Houses was, this is just a massive kind of like, well, we don't really know what we want to do, so why don't we just get every character that's ever been, put them into a game, throw a story around that, and Bob's your uncle.
Imagine Pokemon came out and they said, you know what, water is no longer strong against fire.
It's actually only been ice. Ice is good against fire.
So I think and it's a pity, because like that the laziness in that, I think it looks great. The game looks better than Three Houses. I think you were saying the maps and stuff like that can be a bit better, but this isn't a review of Engage, but in a nutshell, it's bad.
It's very disappointing. If you have yet to buy it and you were on the fence, it's been out for ages, so if you're on the fence, stay on that fence. Or jump over to the other side and get Advance Wars Reboot Camp when it comes out, which is April 420. Who knows?
21st, you're a day late. So that's it for strategy. Chris, Colm, thank you so much for popping on and giving me your views on strategy games.
It's been your pleasure, Darren.
It has been my pleasure. You're right, it has been. And before we go, we're hopping on to do a post show after this, which won't be available on Spotify. In order to get a listen to our new post shows, you'll have to go to patreon.com/thegiftegaming, and for the price of a coffee a month, you can have a listen to our post shows and bonus content.
Can I also say, if you are lactose intolerant or you can't drink coffee because of IBS related issues, you could also treat us to a tasty sandwich.
Sure, for the price of a tasty sandwich, you can join the tier on Patreon. Yeah, you're right, Colm. I need to think of everybody when I
be progressive.
I got like IBS.
Get out of the dark ages, Darren, with
so,
your coffee drinking love.
Look out for this.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, also coming up on the podcast, our next week will be our news week for February. So if you're excited to hear what kind of big news items came into February, tune in next week and you'll get a listen to that. And you want to just hit us up on Twitter for anything you think we might be interested in. Just tweet at us at Gift of Gaming Pod. I'll never get it, Chris. I'll never get it. I need to go back to the emails, man. This social media is already too hard. But listen, guys, Colm, thank you for joining me. Chris, thank you for joining me. And for all our listeners, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out, guys.